Hey, everybody, welcome back to a brand new edition of the 20 Minutes Podcast. Glad to have you back. And again, as I mentioned, um, been a little while. Took a little break from 20 minutes, had some technical issues. And it's funny, yesterday we were all set to fire it up. And then a dump truck decides to hit a utility embankment on Route 6 in Shanahan, and I went 14 hours without internet. So that was a kind of an unplanned day off yesterday, but we're all good. The web's back up, and we're fully back with 20 minutes. And again, definitely looking forward to getting caught up with several coaches, especially several first-year head coaches. And again, very excited to bring in our next guest, uh, Dave, veteran football coach, veteran assistant coach, but of course Dave Woodburn joining us from Lincolnway Central. And Dave, you're sitting in the big seat there. You're the man in charge of the Lincolnway Central Knights. So congratulations. I hope you're not too overwhelmed with the position. As you all know, in that district, it's an amazing school district in so many different levels, especially athletics. And just again, congratulations on the job.
Appreciate it. I definitely am humbled to be in the situation, and I guess I'm sitting in the chair, but I don't look at it like that. You know, we got a great staff here that we're working with, so I'm happy to be where I am and happy to have the guys that I have working with me.
Well, fill us in on your background. I mean, I know that you started. I believe your first year as an assistant, you were at Providence. If I'm not
Correct.
mistaken.
Yeah. So my first 3 years, I was at Providence. Actually started coaching with Dan Stell. We coached the freshman level together, and Dan's at Bremen now.
Yep.
So we still keep in touch a lot. Was there for 3 years, and then I went over to Lincolnway East in 2002, and was a freshman coach, a sophomore coach, and then I started coaching on the varsity in 2006 after they won the state championship with Coach Z.
And again, you talk about some of the names and the paths that you crossed. You mentioned Dan Stell and being on that staff with Z. It amazes me to this day, and I get asked by a lot of people from across the state about the success of Lincolnway's district and with athletics. It's nothing short of amazing. I mean, I think we all saw that the moment East opened, they were winning. the moment
Correct. Yes.
the moment North opened, and I know people don't like to mention North, but I'll mention it. The moment they opened, they started winning. The moment West opened, they started winning. Incredible talent in that district.
No pressure here.
No, well, that's what I'm building up to. Unbelievable talent. But I know it's more than talent. It's coaching. It's the building. It's community support. Another thing that gets highly overlooked, I think. Lincolnway people love their athletic programs and support them to the umpteenth degree. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure being in that district. And first of all, can you explain the formula of success in that district? How, to people on the outside, how do you explain to them how at one point you had 4 high schools running in the same area that all had athletic success? How do you begin to explain that formula?
Well, I think you kind of hit it on the nose by mentioning the community. Hey, we have a ton of community support, and it kind of starts there, right? You got to have the players and the community behind you. And then the people that I've had the opportunity to work with in athletics in Lincolnway with Coach Savonar and his staff, who just consistently stayed year after year after year.
Yeah.
And I think if you want to have a good program of any sort, consistency, coaches, a lot of coaches, and then consistency with those coaches over the years. And that is certainly one of the things that I hope that I can bring here is some consistency in our coaching staff and get that going over and over and over again so that we can really build something. The turnover makes it really, really hard. And guys just didn't leave Lincolnway East. They loved working for Coach Z, and he's demanding and consistent and uncompromising. And I think those are things that make a football program successful. I got to work with Rich Klemus and some great basketball coaches there too. And then you look over at West and you got Luke Lokank, who was mentored by Dave Ernst, and I worked with Dave Ernst and you got a lot of great names of.
Yeah, the coaching connections are phenomenal throughout that district. It's unbelievable.
So I'm lucky to Matt Seffner. I mean, I got to work under Matt Seffner at Providence.
Yep.
He's, so.
Let's stick with coaches, because you sent over your information, which I greatly appreciate. And I mean, I'm just looking at some of these names. These are Lincolnway Central and that Lincolnway district names. I mean, guys like Greg Garrison and Anthony Kropp, and I'm just going up and down the line, and Gary Young and Kyle Langendorfer.
All those names. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, for sure. And that's got to be encouraging, the fact that, it's one thing to talk about the history of Lincolnway and Lincolnway Central. And, and let's face it, you've got a generation of kids now that might not even know how good that program was, but
you're right.
You've got guys on that staff that were a part of it and lived it. And I've got to imagine that's going to help you try to sell that, because you want those kids to know that history and the success. And how are you able to maybe bring that across to them, to at least give them an idea of kind of what came before them, and that, oh yeah, by the way, it is very capable to be done here at this school.
Well, that's exactly what we're trying to do. Today we had a morning workout, and I stepped back, and it wasn't time for me to talk. Kyle Langendorfer was talking at our morning workout. And then we have another coach, Dan Schwartz from Andrew, who's here and was out and is now back in. And he talked to the players. And Mike Manns is a former football player here, coached with us at East, and coached at Lamont, coached outside linebackers there. And he's on the staff, and he's a Lincolnway Central graduate. John Corrales is a Lincolnway Central graduate. So to let those guys talk about what this school has meant to them. I mean, I was at East forever, right? This is my first year here, even though it feels kind of like I've been here for 4 years already. But those guys get to talk about what it was like and what it was like to play for that. My nephew played for Central, Peyton Nigro. So he's trying to get into the police force, but there's a great opportunity to maybe have him come back and talk to the players. Nicky D. Gregorio, the linebacker who played at Wesleyan, he's reached out and said he's interested in trying to help us out. So the community is so important, and bringing that tradition here again is going to be huge.
Yeah, and they've always supported. I mean, win, lose, or draw, they've been there. And
correct.
So that's half the battle, I think, just the fact that they are going to come and support. When you take the reins over the program and you look at everything and you try to get a bigger picture of, okay, this is what maybe we have, and this is maybe what we need to go after and do maybe differently. What were a couple of those early things that you looked at and said, you know what, I kind of think we should maybe change this, or we need to maybe do this a little bit differently? What are a couple of those? I don't know if I want to call them low-hanging fruit, but maybe a couple of things off the bat that you thought, you know what, yeah, we're gonna try to do it this way, or my way, or a different way.
Well, I would be lying if I didn't just go back to my roots with Lincolnway East. So it was kind of ironic. I was in getting my back worked on by Dr. Jake Alec at Pain and Performance, who helps run Lincolnway East's strength program. Helped Providence last year, a nice resume for himself at the state games.
Yep.
So I talked to him, and he offered to come in and help. And so one of the first things we did is we worked on our strength program. And John Corrales is excellent at that as well. So we brought Jake in and have him. The two of them have been working together. And I think one of the big things that I brought from East, or learned from East, was the challenge mentally. We try not to do the same thing every day. Sometimes the players don't know, hey, what's Friday morning going to look like? What's Wednesday morning going to look like? What's our weight room day going to look like? And sometimes it's unconventional. And I think that's one of the biggest things we try to change is pushing their brains and pushing their mentality to that level that they don't think they can go. And it happened here last year, but just trying to bring a little different twist to it. Football's it's not the same every day. It changes, life changes. So I think that's been our first thing is our strength and conditioning program. We've changed that.
Yeah, for sure. Still a good sized school, still a really good sized student body. A lot of athletes in that district playing a lot of different sports. I know I thought I saw where you mentioned at one point trying to get back that multi-sport athlete and get them coming out and playing football. I mean, I've watched Lincolnway Central. I mean, going back to when it was just Lincolnway and seeing how things have changed and progressed, you know, and Dave, the one thing I think I noticed the last handful of years, and maybe it was just my observation, that they had numbers, the numbers were there. I don't know how great the talent level was there. Is that something that maybe is tied into those multi-sport athletes, that maybe your best athletes that you can get maybe just weren't playing football?
It's tough for me to completely answer that question, except I can tell you there's times where I'm walking around the halls and my head's turning to the right and turning to the left. I'm wondering how come that guy's not playing football.
Yeah.
He certainly looks the part. And I do think that that's going to be one of our biggest challenges, because we got a ton of baseball players in our football program, and baseball seems to be so demanding in the summer. I'm just going to try to do my best to work with those guys, and they're going to have to give a little, and I know I'm going to have to give a lot, because our school is not we're not 8A, we're 7A, and you got to have those guys play, and you have to make it. I think the summer we have to make it accessible for them to do the different things they want to do. So we changed our summer a little bit than what I experienced last year, and we'll see how it goes. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but it's more of a plan that I'm used to. We hit the first couple weeks of June really hard. The rest is lifting and conditioning, getting stronger in the summer, and then we'll come back and have 3 or 4 days in July. So it looks like a little less contact days or football days. And in the grand scheme of it, when you look at the hours, it's probably similar, but I'm hoping that gives those baseball guys and those other those wrestlers and such time to go do what they need to do, so they still want to play football.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I'd ask you about schedule wise, how things are coming up, but boy, what you sent over, looks like you've been working on this for a while. So it sure seems like you're prepared and locked in and kind of ready to go the moment the school year ends. How have things progressed for you? If you look at when you took the program over and where they're at now, are you kind of on schedule to where you thought you would be, or kind of what are some areas that you still need to tweak up a little bit before we get going?
Well, I think the first thing I had to do is put together the coaching staff, and we're really, really happy with, you saw some of those names, and we retained a lot of guys that have been coaching here for a long time. We moved some guys to some different levels. So that had to be number one, to get that in place and then start our weight program. So I'm happy there. Bringing on Mitch Nowicki to call the offense is going to be big for us. He was out for a little while, and now he's back in. So I think probably the hardest part for me has been the head coaching part of it. I haven't got to do as much of the X's and O's stuff. So May is going to be a lot of meetings with trying to install our new stuff, and there's a lot of carryover from last year too at the same time. But I'd say the X's and O's, we got to get ready for June 5th or June 6th.
Yeah.
That's probably my number one concern now. All the other stuff that goes with this is consumed quite a bit of my time, which I knew it would. I just, it would, but you didn't know it would.
Yeah. Style wise, are we going to see something similar? Are you going to give us every hidden secret you have offensively and defensively? Can we expect maybe some of the same? You mentioned Lincolnway East. Do we look at East a little bit and see a little bit from here and there? What's your mentality and your philosophy going in?
So I'll be honest. I learned from Coach Z and Coach Palisard, and Coach Palisard took care of the offense, and Coach Z took care of the defense, and we worked together really well, and Coach Palisard's got some great coaches over there. So
Yep.
the offensive guys are working on their plan. Of course, I've seen it and I know what it is. It's going to be a little similar and a little bit different. There's going to be some wrinkles. We're trying to adapt to our personnel. We got quite a few guys returning. We're just not very big up front on either side of the ball. So some of the schemes may look a little different. I'll leave it at that. And then the defense, I'm a product of Lincolnway East. So you probably could watch that and
it ain't broke. Why fix it? So
have a pretty good idea that at the route we're going to go. And that started last year. We went to a 4-man front last year, so that we're not going to be playing a whole bunch of catch up where our players are trying to learn something totally new, which excites me about that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Take a look at the schedule again. Nothing comes easy at all. I mean, I love the opening games. Opening at home against St. Charles East, who is generally pretty solid. I know they've been down the last few years, but I know there's always talent in that building.
Yep.
On the road at Evanston again. Evanston's another team that you get off the bus and you see them, and they're gonna hang and challenge it with anybody. So those are 2 games, and then talk about week 3. That's an interesting matchup. Is that just kind of a meeting of the athletic director saying, okay, let's find a halfway place, so let's go play at Illinois State against?
Yeah, West is doing something similar, I believe, and that's what we came up with. O'Fallon. It's kind of a cool trip for our guys and their guys, and I coached against O'Fallon. I think they knocked us off one year back in, I don't know, 2009 or something like that. So we know that we know what we're in for there. There are no easy ones on our schedule.
Yeah, and then obviously you start digging into the conference schedule, and
we come right back to West.
Yeah. Okay, congratulations. Hey, let's kick things off with our rival. Yeah. Wonderful. Again, very solid conference year in and year out. I mean, it's a conference that I think once the playoffs begin, you kind of see the value a little bit, and again, there's not an easy game on that schedule whatsoever. As far as getting into the season and what have you, is there a thing or two you wanted to change? I mean, anything from a uniform to maybe a routine? Are there any little things here and there that maybe you've always wanted to implement? Now that you're a head coach, you've got the ability to do it.
Yeah, our game day schedule will change a little bit. Our practice schedules are going to change a little bit from what these guys are used to. It won't be totally new to them. There's nothing glaring out there that I say, I've always wanted to do this as a coach. I've been at good programs, so I've learned some things over the years. And, some of those head coaching things will be the things I got to work on. And I got a lot of really good people to pick brains as to some motivational things and some different things to throw at our players. We're working on some uniforms and a couple things there, a couple surprises for the players too. So we'll leave it there.
Excellent. Again, as far as the summer is concerned, do you have plans to do any of the 11-on-11 stuff? I know that the rules have changed a little bit, which I think is wonderful. I'm sure you've got your opinion on it as well. Personally, I would also like to see the scrimmage thrown in, but against other schools. But for some reason, I don't think we'll ever get that done in this state. I don't know why.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that one's happening.
That's a whole other thing I'll get into when you're not here, so I can bitch and moan about it. But
yeah,
is that part of the plan for the prep as well? Do you have some 11-on-11 you plan on doing?
We have Jacobs coming here. Jacobs High School coming here.
Zimmerman. Yep.
And he's great. He reached out to me. That's another Lincolnway East guy.
Yep.
And they're coming our third week of June. They're coming. And then we're going to do one with Richards, which will be a nice challenge for our guys too.
Yeah.
I coached Chris Corhonen back when he was at Providence. So the two of us get along well, and it reached out to their head coach. And So they're going to come in, I think July 19th, they're going to come. So we have 2, and then maybe we'll do one with Bremen if Dan and I can find a date.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. I think it's a real positive, and again, I think gives you guys just a better idea where you stand, and
that's what we need. That we need to play some different looks.
You know, it's even gotten to the point where Zimmerman stole the Lincolnway East entrance. I mean, come on, really?
I did. Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Stole it. Completely stole it.
Yeah.
All of it. Team walking in, holding hands, walking past the home crowd. I'm like, come on, Brian, really?
Yeah, I might have to change that up. He's at least far enough away. I don't know if I can pull that off 3 miles down the road.
No, you can't. You cannot pull that off. They will not let you pull that off. But he's getting away with it. And I tell you what, he is doing a good job up there. So they're going to be formidable for a while. And I know how proud he is of being an East guy and a Lincolnway guy. So, hey, appreciate you taking time. I know it's a gorgeous summer day, kind of, finally. I think we might actually be getting spring, summer. But again, great to talk to you, and we'll be in touch. And again, just congratulations on taking the job. And, we'll reach out and we'll talk to you sometime soon again. So, again, Dave Woodburn, new head coach of Lincolnway Central, joining us. Dave, thanks a lot.
Appreciate your time. Thanks so much.